Hello everyone, my name is Liam Gao. Welcome. In this issue, we are talking about Chinese Valentine's Day. I know that Valentine's Day celebrated on February 14th, but there is also a Valentine's Day in China, commonly known as Tanabata, which is celebrated on July 7th on the lunar calendar. The Tanabata Festival, also known as the Beggar's Day and the Cowherd and Weaver's Day, is a traditional Chinese festival with a long history. On the 7th day of the 7th month of the lunar calendar, no matter whether you have a lover or not, you will be infected by the unique atmosphere of this festival. Today, let me take you to explore the historical origin, traditional rituals, romantic customs and changes of the times of the Tanabata Festival, traditional customs and modern elements. When night falls, couples will walk in the colorful night of fireworks to express their love in this beautiful moment. On the night of Tanabata, you can see the city overflowing with festive spirit, fireworks, dates, gifts, blessings. The flow of people and light and shadow constitute a particularly warm picture. Today, the Tanabata Festival still retains its long tradition of rituals and romance. Read the love story of the Cowherd and the Weaving Maiden. Make a good wish. Walk under the fireworks, hoping to grow old with your sweetheart. For their own handmade gifts to write down the words of blessing. Even with the passage of time, these classic elements are touching. At the same time, the Tanabata Festival has also accumulated new meaning in various times. Nowadays, the Tanabata Festival not only has traditional rituals, but also adds fireworks displays, themed bazaars, internet blessings and other new forms, making the whole festival more lively and interesting. No matter how many Tanabata in the past, when the day comes, people will turn over the love across the Milky Way, put the most beautiful blessings on this night, in the candy, gifts and fireworks to feel the joy of the festival. The romance and good wishes carried by Tanabata have been integrated into the cultural memory of the whole nation. Even in the future, the Tanabata Festival will evolve with social changes, but its beautiful symbolism across time will still be sung for generations. Looking at the two stars on both sides of the river, people will remember the love story that tugs at their heartstrings, and find their own romance and hope in this memory. Legend of the Cowherd and the Weaving Maiden. The Tanabata Festival has always been connected with the legend of the Cowherd and the Weaving Maiden, which is a very beautiful love story that has been passed down through the ages and has become one of the four major folk love legends in China. Legend has it that a long time ago, there was a smart and loyal young man in Niujiazhuang, west of Nanyang City. Loyal young man, parents died early, had to follow his brother and sister-in-law. Sister-in-law was vicious, often abusive to him, forcing him to do a lot of work. One year in the fall, sister-in-law forced him to go to the cattle, give him 9 cows, but let him wait until there are 10 cows can only go home. Cowherd had no choice but to drive the cattle out of the village. Cowherd drove the cows alone into the mountains. In the mountains with deep grass and dense forests, he sat under a tree and was sad, wondering when he would be able to drive the 10 cows home. At that time, an old man with white hair appeared in front of him and asked him why he was sad. And when he learned what had happened to him, he laughed and said, "Don't be sad. There's a sick old cow in the funny mountain. Go and feed it well, and after it gets well, you will be able to drive the cow to the mountain. When it gets well, you can drive it home." On the eve of the 7th day of the 7th lunar month, Cowherd crossed the mountains and traveled a long way, and finally found the sick old ox. Seeing that the old ox was very sick, he went to fetch a bundle of grass for the old ox, and fed it for 3 days in a row. The old ox ate its fill, and then it lifted up its head and pulled him. He was originally the gray ox immortal in the sky, and he was relegated to the lower part of the sky because he had violated the rules of the sky, and he broke his leg, and he couldn't move it. Their own injuries need to be washed with the dew of 100 flowers for a month to get well. Cowherd braved the hard work, carefully cared for the old cow for a month. During the day for the old cow to pick flowers to catch the dew to cure the injury. At night snuggled out beside the old cow to sleep. To the old cow is well. Cowherd drove the 10 cows back to the home in high spirits. After returning home, his sister-in-law was still not good to him, and tried to harm him several times, but the old ox managed to save him. And his sister-in-law finally drove the cowherd out of the house, and the cowherd only wanted the old ox to follow him. One day, the heavenly Weaving Maiden and all the nymphs came down to the earth to play games and bathe in the river. The cowherd met the Weaving Maiden with the help of the old cow. and the two of them fell in love with each other. And then the Weaving Maiden came down to the earth secretly to be the wife of the Cowherd. The Weaving Maiden also distributed the heavenly silkworms brought from the sky, and taught everyone to raise silkworms, draw silk, and weave light and bright silk. After the marriage of Cowherd and Weaving Maiden, the man plowed and the woman weaved with deep love and affection, and they gave birth to a boy and a girl with 2 children, and the family lived happily ever after. That the good times do not last long, this will soon let the emperor know. The Queen Mother herself came down to earth, forcibly brought the weaving girl back to heaven. The loving couple was broken up. There was no way for Cowherd to go to heaven, but the old ox told Cowherd that after his death, he could make shoes from his skin and wear them to heaven. Cowherd did according to the words of the old cow, wearing shoes made of cowhide, pulling their own children, together with the clouds and fog to the sky to chase the weaving woman. Seeing that we are about to catch up with, I do not know that. Another version of the Tanabata Festival, Tanabata begging for handicrafts. This festival originated in the Han Dynasty. The Eastern Jin Dynasty Han Shijing miscellany has Han color women often use the 7th day of the 7th month to wear 7-hole needle in the Kexia building. People are all accustomed to it, the record, which is the earliest record of begging for handicrafts that we have seen in the ancient literature. Later in the Tang and Song poems, women's begging was also mentioned repeatedly. Tang Dynasty Wangjian poem said a pendant stars and buckets decorated with pearl light. Tanabata Palace begging busy. According to the Kaiyuan Chanbao remains, Tang Taizan and concubines every Tanabata night feast in the king palace. The courtesans begging. This custom in the civil society has endured and continue from generation to generation. Song and Yuan times, Tanabata begging is quite grand. The capital also has a market specializing in the sale of begging items, the world known as Begging City. Sanluoyi Jin Yingzi collection of Drunken Weng said, Tanabata Tan Lu before the sale of begging objects, since July 1st, car and horse anger throat, to 3 days before Tanabata, car and horse do not pass. One after another congestion, no longer come out, to the night square dispersal. Here, from the begging city to buy begging objects, we can infer the lively scene of the Tanabata begging festival at that time. People from the first day of July began to set up the begging articles. Begging city on the traffic, the flow of people like Thai, to the approaching Tanabata time. Begging city simply into a sea of people, cars and horses difficult to travel. See its style. Seems to be no less than the grandest festival, the Spring Festival, indicating that begging for coincidence is the ancients are the most favorite one of the festival. Begging for coincidence festival is not to commemorate the love of the cowherd weaver, but to commemorate the weaver this person. Folk also known as Seven Sister. Begging for coincidence is a women's festival. The Weaving Maiden is regarded as the goddess of spinning and weaving, and the mortal women beg her for wisdom and skill on the 7th night of the 7th month of the 7th lunar month, and they also beg for the gift of a beautiful marriage. The way of begging for coquettish is different in different ages and places. The most famous one is to beg for coquettish by threading a needle, i.e., whoever threads a needle fast will get coquettish, and the slow one is called lose coquettish. And the one who loses coquettish should give the one who gets coquettish the prepared gift. The spider begging for coquettish is to put a small spider in a box, and the sparseness of its weaving will be considered as the one who gets coquettish. The spider is placed in a box to determine how much coquettishness is obtained by the sparseness of its web. The needle test popular in the Ming and Qing dynasties refers to putting sewing needles into a basin of water and judging whether it is coquettish or not by the shape of the needle shadow at the bottom of the basin. In addition to the needle begging, there are also the Joe spider should be coincidental, casting needles to check the coincidence, planting seeds to seek children, for the cow to celebrate the birth, sunshine books and clothes, worship grinding drink music, worship the Weaving Maiden, worship the Kuixing, eat coquettish fruits, the Seven Sister birthday, dyeing fingernails, women shampooing, not tying coquettish nuns, and worshipping the 7 Nian Wama. Later, this Beggar's Day was also spread to Southeast Asia, Japan and Korea. Okay, that's all for today's issue. Thank you all.